Hi guys, my name is Dalisha, and if you told me a few years ago I'll be filming this in New York with a baby in my lap, I'll be laughing. I was diagnosed with PCOS, told it was hard to get pregnant, then boom, I got pregnant. Then I was hit with gestational diabetes and pre-eclampsia. On top of that, my baby came at 34 weeks and spent a week in NICU. So here's my video. I want to talk about it. I want to, unfiltered, real for any mom who feel alone in this time. So let's get into the video. So where should I start? PCOS diagnosis. Started in 2023 when I decided that I wanted to control my body. I wanted to control of my symptoms. I want to have a real period. So I stopped my birth control pills, like out of the doctor. I stopped the birth control pills in 2023. I going through the new year and say I am not taking the birth control pills. I want to get my body right, get my body healthy, lose weight because I know how hard it is to lose weight when you have PCOS. There's so many things that people don't know and I'm not really talking about. The weight gain, like you cannot not eat, okay? And you still gain weight. It's impossible. Like, tell me, tell me how, how. But the hormones control so many things that you cannot even imagine. So I would say I would, go on fasting diet, like everybody fasting, trying all the diets, and I would just not lose weight any weight. But I decided that I'm going to stick to it. I'm not going to go on the birth control pills. You have to tell the doctors because at the point now where they treated PCOS or symptoms, they're not going to treat you unless you say, okay, I'm ready to have a baby. I'm ready to get pregnant. So at the end of the day, I said I wanted to control myself. I started going to my clinic, Viva Eat Clinic. So I saw my York, I highly there, Beth. She was my gynecologist there, and I told her, I want to take control of my body. I want to see a real period. I want to get back on track. I want to be healthy. And so she worked with me. She gave me metformin to all the PCOS family. They always say metformin to help regularize the period, just for a short time to get the body, because we're low key insulin resistant. Some of our PCOS sisters have diabetes and some don't, but we are still insulin resistant. So I said, okay, let me try the metformin for a month. I did try metformin for a month, and then I was like, nah, this was not for me. I had diarrhea. It was just generally making me sick, and I was like, no, I want something else. So, during that time on the market, that Manjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, those things were, on the market in the scene, weight loss, but mostly for people with diabetes. That's what's the real prescription for. So, knowing that you have PCOS and you're also insulin resistant, Manjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, those are, I'm telling you, they are approved by your insurance because you are need of it for insulin resistance to treat your PCOS. So I started with Manjaro, and I was taking Manjaro for about 8 months. So I started on Manjaro. Of course, the first month or a few weeks of the Manjaro, it's you know diarrhea, but I only had it like probably once or twice, so it's not that bad. It's just for you to stick to it. So once or twice, I had a diarrhea, but I was generally feeling like a little bit sick. Nothing to really say I'm bedridden and I can't go to work. And then after the first month, I had no symptoms. So I was taking it once a week. Everyone knows you inject it once a week. So I was being consistent. My doctor gradually increased the dose because you have to gradually increase the dose. And I honestly did not feel any symptoms as the dose increased. So for those out there who are scared, oh, I'm gonna be sick, this is just temporary for us to you know, regularize our body to get our period flowing. And so I was on it the first month, the first 2 months on it, I did not see a period. I was like, oh my God, this thing is not working. But then I saw my period after, so I started it in August. Did not see a period in September. Then I saw a period in October. Then I didn't see a period in November. Then I saw a period in December. So it was like that's my body was trying to get, but that's the most I've seen a period in a year. So my body's trying to get regular. And so the second time when my period came during the period at that time, it actually came, it was a normal length. Like my PCOS symptoms, I had normal length period earlier on in puberty, but then closer to adulthood, it changed and I saw my period for weeks. So this was a big improvement for me. This was a huge improvement for me. I then see my period for 7 days. I was like, what? This is great. Okay, not to get my hopes up. So I waited. So then the next year, the year come January 2025. And so I got another normal period. So I was like, oh, great, this is working now. My gynecologist is saying, okay, great, my body is getting normal. So we're going to come off of the Manjaro soon. And she asked me if I want to go on birth control pills. I was like, no, my body's just getting normal. Why would I want to, go back to masking symptoms and being normal? Then, boom, bam, got pregnant and have a beautiful baby girl. Now, let's get into the pregnancy complications now. No one ever tell you about. So, first time moms. So listen. First trimester, I vomited. I can count on my hands. I vomited like 7 times. 7 times. Not bad. Great compared to other people who really can't get out of bed or can't really function. And so 7 times. And it wasn't too bad. I had motion sickness and all of that. And so it was really good. My features were the same. Perfect. Second trimester was a little bit jumpy. Was smooth actually. Second trimester was very smooth. And I didn't have any complications, no problems. Now, when I hit 28 weeks, mind you, I was going to my clinic every 2 weeks from since I found out I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant when I was 4 weeks. And I've been going every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, my clinic, every 2 weeks, getting a checkup, blood pressure, ultrasound, leading right up until my third trimester. 28 weeks, ready to do my glucose test. I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna pass this test. Mark you me. Okay, I got a score of 284 on my glucose test. 284 was my glucose, and that was automatic gestational diabetes. It spiraled down from there. From there on, I was um, instantly put on insulin. They monitored my diet for the first week after being diagnosed. Then it was not working. My sugars were in the 200s. My fasting was over in the hundreds, like 100 highs, 180s, 200. So I had to be controlled with insulin. Then it was not being controlled with insulin. They started me on small, I think it was like 15 units once a day. 15 units of the long acting once a day. I started on that. Then that did not work. They told me, okay, come into the hospital for monitoring because it's still not controlled. I go into the hospital. Then apparently I thought I was going to stay for 24 hours, turned into 5 days because the sugar was not being controlled and I was eating their diet in the hospital. So I was then, was taking long acting, short acting, had to be getting twice a day of the long acting insulin, Lespro, and then I had the other one, Novul something. I had to take that 5 times, 3 times a day. So overall, I was taking insulin 5 times a day. Then during the hospital stay, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and pregnancy. Whoop-de-doo, what's next? So then I was just went home to monitor the high blood pressure. on a daily basis and to continue to inject myself with my with insulin and still try diet control. It was a lot. The insulin went from 20 units to 50 units. Okay, to 50 units. The most frustrating thing, and I joined Facebook support group for women with gestational diabetes, and it is so frustrating to take an insulin monitor. I was pricking myself every day. I have to prick myself 2 hours after every meal, but then that wasn't working. They had to check my sugars 24 hours. I got the patch to stay in 24. I'm saying that the most frustrating thing with anybody, any woman who has gestational diabetes during pregnancy is knowing what to eat, eating what they say to eat. They say to eat all the recommendations, and the sugar still won't be controlled with the diet. And you're just like, oh my God, is there something that I'm doing wrong? Is there something that I can do to stop this? Like, you're concerned about your baby, because they say that the baby can be overweight, but there's so many different things. The baby unable to control their blood sugar during when they're born, and all of that, horrible stuff. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this for my baby. Let me do it. I was frustrated because I couldn't eat anything sweet, which I understand, but it was like knowing what to eat. I couldn't eat any carbs, high protein diet. Even on a high protein diet, and I have to eat still a little bit of carbs. It was just not. It was just not working, and it was just getting frustrating. And I understand if you're going through this right now and you don't know what to eat, sis, you're not alone. You're not alone because trust me, even though I saw the nutritionist, the dietitian, in the hospital was like, she didn't even know the phenomenon because I was eating what they gave me to eat. Okay, fast forward now. We are here with the high blood pressures. I was just checking the high blood pressures on a daily basis. They told me if it reached like 160 over 100 to come into emergency. So it was like ranging in the 150s over 80s, 140s over 80, 90. So it was not completely to that range as yet, but it was still high on a daily basis. Fast forward 34 weeks now, we're here. Went to do my diabetes blood checkup. They raised my insulin dose again. Then, I woke up one morning, very bad acid reflux. I was going to say I had a very bad acid reflux. And something told me, check my blood pressure. So I checked my blood pressure and it was 161 over 100. Now, knowing I'm originally from the Caribbean, Antigua, and really sometimes we don't like to go to the doctor right away. So I said, I can let me watch and see, because I was drinking coconut water, recommend by my dad, my family, drinking coconut water on a daily basis. So it took about an hour to go down. Okay, that was my first high that I recorded. Okay, then the morning come and it was still 164 over 1 over 1. I said, okay, let me call my clinic. Clinic said, going to the hospital right away. I went to the hospital right away. At the hospital, it was 170 over 95, and then it was another high number, 160 over something after a few minutes. So, boom, bam, bidoop. They said that due to the fact that I had these high blood pressures back to back, it is cause of concern because the placenta interface is now feeling and, with preeclampsia. So I was having preeclamptic episodes that could lead to stroke, that could lead to seizures, etc. So I'm like, okay, for the safety, they say like, okay, for the safety of me and the baby, we have to take the baby early. And I'm like, oh my God, I was not expecting to go to the hospital and to give birth. That is just so many things you have to process at the same time. You have to process blood pressures high, and you have to process the safety of the baby and yourself. Because, preeclampsia leads to stillbirth because sometimes there is no symptoms unless you're monitoring. So when you go and you think everything's okay and everything's not. So, boom. They gave me labetalol, and I had to go right in and start the induction process. So there we there we are, starting the induction process, and the pains, the contractions are coming on. And, it was 8 out of 10, but I wasn't like, screaming. So the pains wasn't really bad building up, you know. So they were like, okay, I have to get the epidural because the pains are going to intensify when they have to rupture my water bag for me. So I said, okay, I didn't want to, honestly, I didn't want to get the epidural because I wanted to feel every bit of the pain. Like I wanted to feel it. I know, crazy, but I wanted to feel it. I wanted to feel every inch of the pain. But I did feel some cramps. I did have some contractions, and to me, it's just like really bad cramps, right? For me, my ratings were 8 out of 10, but I was like, you couldn't see it on my face, you know. But they said, okay, I need to get an epidural because my blood pressures would go higher when the pain intensifies. No problem. I got the epidural. 5 minutes after the epidural, 5 minutes after the epidural, me and baby girl crashed. My blood pressure dropped significantly, and her heart rate dropped instantly, instantly, instantly. 8 people run into the room. They were giving me nitrate push about 4 times. That's how me get hands on my knees, hands on my knees. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, getting my hands on me. I was so out of it. They had to shift me because I was numb from the waist down. And I was like, oh my God, are we going to die? They was like, okay, prep the OR, prep the OR. We might have to end up doing a C-section. So it was very scary. After a few minutes, a few rounds, her heart rate, her heart rate, her heartbeat went back up, and okay, it was good. Her heartbeat went back up, and I had to stay in that position for a good 20 minutes. They said they paused the oxytocin and everything. So I asked them why that happens. They say sometimes after the epidural, some people do have that effect. So would I recommend epidural? No. If it's for medical reasons, okay. But at your own risk, because trust me, I did not expect that to happen at all. All right. After 20 minutes, good. I keep pushing that epidural button. And trust me, I was feeling pain with that epidural. So let me tell you, girls, let me tell you, all the moms out there or soon to be moms who are going to get epidural or thinking of getting epidural, trust me, you still feel pain. Some people still feel pain. You never know if you're going to feel pain. I still felt pain. I was pushing that button, and my partner was like, babe, you already pushed it. It's already, you can't push it too much time within 10 minutes. And I'm like, damn. I was like, oh my goodness, like I thought that I ain't gonna feel nothing, but apparently I did. Doctor had to come and give me a direct push again, but after a few minutes after, I still was feeling pain. When the nurse checked me, I was 10 centimeters, and then boom, bam, fast forward, push, and everything. Now, because the girl, baby girl, because she was, 34 weeks and 4 days, that's considered late preemie. She had to be kept in a NICU for monitoring. That was, sad, and I had to keep like pumping. So for all the mothers who I think that, new moms or soon to be mom, I think that breast may come right after you give birth. But no, it does not. They lied to you. So, they there baby girl in NICU, and they were gonna come home. She had one dip, like for a few seconds. And they said, okay, protocol is if the baby have one dip, even if it's for a few seconds, they have to monitor them for 5 days. I cried. Like that's the worst thing. Like I understand all the NICU moms out there who had to go day in and day out and see your baby beautifully. She passed her sugar test 24 hours. She was just in the cot for temperature monitoring. And then she was, just for temperature, so she had no other issues. She was just perfect. She was a warrior. They were like, okay, this is the biggest 34-week baby and the most impressive they've ever seen. My baby girl, she was ready to come. So she probably might not even be really 34 days, but 34 weeks, but but you know, it is the hardest thing to do is to not to be home without your baby next to you. And tell me, that was the most trying time of my life. I had to really trust God, like not only just say it, but act upon it. Let the doctors and the nurses do their job and trust that God have her covered. I'm telling you, all the NICU moms out there who had premature babies, I know how it feels. And I'm here. You can leave your experiences in the comment because I know how it feels. Even if it was not for 100 days, but even just one day, it is a lot. It takes a lot on your mentally. And so I trust in God, and boom, she passed. She came home, and we've been home, and she's just an angel. So, any woman out there who is suffering from PCOS, you're not alone. Please subscribe, like, please comment down below where you're watching from. And I love hearing other NICU mom stories. So stay tuned for more Mom Real Talk live content.